It's excuse me, to 12. This is Women Radio 91.7 FM, the voice of women, Nigeria's first and only radio station for women and their families. My name is Fumi Bangala, and this is Political Arena. Did I say good afternoon? Good morning, beg your pardon. This morning has been a really busy morning for me. So yes, this is Political Arena, where we basically have conversations on everything politics. We examine the issues shaping our democracy and our nation as well. Excuse me. We are live on YouTube at WFM 917, and you can listen to us on the go via our website, www.wfm917.com. We do not have a guest today, but I figured, you know what, let's have a conversation on the special seats bill, on whether or not democracy can thrive in Nigeria without women. Political Arena is the program where we, like I said, examine political issues shaping Nigeria's democracy, but with a strong focus on inclusion, equity, and representation. So let's get into it this morning. Can democracy truly thrive without women? That's the million-dollar question, because this is not just a women's issue. It is a democracy issue. Democracy at its core really is about representation. It's about ensuring that the people making the decisions affecting the nation reflect the people that they serve. So when we do not see inclusivity in governance or in democracy, it is troubling. For instance, in Nigeria, the numbers tell a troubling story. The population of men to women is about 50.5 to 49.5, right? With women making up nearly half of Nigeria's population, but their representation in political offices remains among the lowest in Africa. According to data from the Interparliamentary Union and UN Women, women occupy less than 5% of seats in Nigeria's National Assembly. Today, out of 469 seats in the National Assembly, only 19 are occupied by women. That means over 95% of our federal lawmakers are men. I want to say that again. We have 469 seats in the National Assembly, only 19. That's like, like over 300, right, are for men. The Senate only has 4 women out of, wait for it, 109 senators, while the House of Representatives has only 15 women out of 360 members. So across all 36 states, Nigeria currently has no female governor. I don't know when this can happen. I don't know if it will happen. I'm hopeful that it will happen. But the million-dollar question again is, can Nigeria thrive without Nigeria's democracy thrive without female representation? And what does this mean for Nigeria's democracy? And can the proposed special seats bill help to close this gap? Let's get into it. Now, there's this popular saying that says that if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu, which means that representation matters because laws are not made in vacuum. The people in the room influence the issues that get attention on the larger scale. So when women are represented in governance, when they participate in governance, conversations around maternal health, around education, around child welfare, around gender-based violence and economic inclusion, they receive greater attention because women are there to represent women and these groups. And we're not saying that only women can advocate for women. That's not what we're saying, because that would be a lopsided view. Women lead businesses, they lead communities, they lead ministries, they lead universities, and they lead even in their homes. These experiences that they have enrich the decision making and strengthen institutions that they belong to. So a democracy that consistently excludes half of its population risks becoming less representative and less responsive. And this is really where the special seats bill enters the conversation. What is the Special Seats Bill? I know you want to ask me. The Special Seats Bill proposes the creation of additional seats in the National Assembly and state houses of assembly to be contested exclusively by women. Importantly, these seats will be elected, not appointed. And these seats don't affect the current seats that are in the National Assembly. Existing constituencies would remain unchanged, right? This bill proposes one additional Senate seat for women in each state and the FCT, one additional House of Representatives seat for women in each state and the FCT, and then 3 additional seats for women in each state's House of Assembly. Some people say that this bill, you just want to be dashing women's seats, but that's not what it is. It's just basically correcting historical imbalances and creating pathways into political leadership. Some people have said, well, you want to expand the government, it's going to be expensive. Okay, if you're saying that these women are coming, is it based on merit or is it based on you're just appointing them? Like I said earlier, they will be elected into these seats. These concerns are legit and they're important, but these seats are not just for appointment's sake or, let's see, 10 women are just going. No, they're women that are going to be going. There are going to be women that would be verified and screened, and then we will vote for them. Right? These seats, or how can I say this? Like, opportunities are only accessible to us if they present itself to us. A race can be fair if some runners begin far behind in the line. What I mean to say is, the men have gotten an advantage. They've been getting this advantage since the inception of Nigeria, and women are lagging behind. So it's just to, create a balance, correct the balances that have been there historically when it comes to women in governance. Now, some people call this situation the 4% problem, which means that, okay, women only occupy 4% of seats in the National Assembly. And what this has done is that it has placed Nigeria among the countries with the lowest female parliamentary representation globally. African giant, African giant, African giant, African giant. Yet we are at the lowest when it comes to female representation in the National Assembly. So if you combine the federal seats and the state seats together, women only hold 64 seats out of 1,460 elective legislative seats nationwide. This is problematic. If you do not think this is problematic, I am here to tell you boldly that this is very, very problematic. Now, why is this problematic? Well, there are several barriers that are affecting women from being in governance. Number one, top of the list, is high campaign costs. Now, the just concluded primaries for most of the political parties, we saw that most of them had 100 million naira as, for instance, the presidential nomination form. How many women can afford this? And this is not to say that women don't have money, but when we talk about it holistically, how many women can actually afford this? Bearing in mind that the way Nigeria is set up is not really to help women up the ladder. It's not really to provide financial incentives or to bump women up when it comes to finances in Nigeria. So this high campaign cost obviously is the first barrier and discourages women from getting into governance. Number two, party gatekeeping. In the just concluded primaries as well, still for the APC, we were watching live and direct how one of the House of Rep candidates by the name Desmond Elliott, Honorable Desmond Elliott, wanted to go again for a 4th tenure, and there was a woman who had allegedly stepped down for him by the 3rd cycle and he wanted to go again. So party gatekeeping, that whole step down for this person, step down for that person, has done women a huge disservice, because what we now see is women unable to go because before they even get to you as the woman, they've already gone to 5 men to tell them to step down, and then the women are an afterthought. When we spoke with Chief Osasu, about 2-3 weeks ago, she mentioned this and said that many of the women in the School of Leadership were asked to step down. What does this mean for women generally? Number 3, electoral violence. If we're going to go by, again, they've just concluded APC primaries or the last election, 2023, there was so much violence there. And as a woman, I cannot carry stick to be fighting anybody. First off, in terms of body power, body mass, there will win me. Number 4, cultural and religious stereotypes. There are a lot of men who believe that, in fact, one of the reasons why the special seats bill hasn't been passed is because a lot of men believe that the place of a woman is in the kitchen. Why should we be having conversations about politics, about governance, about moving Nigeria from place A to place B? I dare say that the reason why Nigeria is still in where it is because women haven't been allowed to contribute to the conversation. I remember Anuli of Heirs Holdings had come up as well and said, sometimes these meetings are held in the night. And how many women or how many husbands will be able to understand that, oh, their wives have to go for meeting at 12 a.m.? That wouldn't raise an eyebrow from the man. Oh, is my wife doing something that she's not to be doing? Even as a woman, you say for respectable women, they're not meant to be out at certain times of the day. Like, these are cultural stereotypes that also affect women getting into governance. Religious stereotypes as well, which is closely related to cultural stereotypes. Now, final point is unequal access to political networks and funding. Like I mentioned earlier, tying to high campaign costs, there's godfatherism at play, where women don't have access to political networks, women don't have godfathers, and women don't have access to funding as well. These barriers do not necessarily reflect a lack of competence from the women. Far from it. Instead, they point to structural challenges that continue to limit participation. So what does Nigeria stand to gain, from the special seats bill, having women represented in governance? Well, countries that have implemented measures to increase women representation have often recorded stronger participation and more inclusive governance. We have countries like Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda who have adopted different quota systems for women. Studies have also showed and suggested that reducing gender inequality could significantly benefit economies. One estimates projects that Nigeria's economy could gain billions of dollars if women were fully included in economic and political life. There's some countries that have benefited from this because the countries that would give them funding have seen that, oh, there are women in governance. So this conversation is not only about fairness, it's also about development, because when talent is excluded, everybody loses. If you say, oh, that woman is qualified, but I don't want her to come in because she's a woman, we all lose in the long run. So back to our question, can democracy thrive without women? We have to return to our central question, which is what I just mentioned now. And this answer may depend on how we define democracy. Like we mentioned earlier, what is democracy? Democracy is for the people, by the people, is of the people, by the people, and for the people, right? But if we say that democracy is merely about elections, then some people will say, yes, that democracy can thrive without women. But going to the original intent and definition of democracy, how can, if democracy is supposed to be of the people, for the people, and by the people, what people, especially if 50%, 49.5% of the women are being excluded from politics? So if democracy is about representation, if it's about inclusion and equal opportunity, then it is important to state that women should be should be represented. Women should be seen in governance. But in our case in Nigeria, we see that it's still a work in progress. We're still underdeveloped when it comes to this. The special seats bill might not be a perfect solution. We're not saying it's the perfect solution. And what the question is, will Nigeria be able to confront this uncomfortable reality. What's the reality? Who gets to lead? Who gets to decide? Whose voices are missing from the room? Whose voices are missing from the room? These are questions that go beyond politics. They even go in business conversations, in organizations. We see women actually missing in boardrooms. And these questions, if we're able to answer them, we'll be able to speak to the kind of country that we hope to become. Just to go back to the beginning again, not to digress, want to look at the data when it comes to, women representation in politics over the years. In 1999, we had 3 out of 109 senators. In 2003, we had 4 out of 109 senators. In 2011, we had 7 out of 109 senators. You see, it started increasing. In 2007, we had 9 out of 109 senators. In 2015, it reduced to 7 out of 109 senators, 8 out of 109 senators in 2019, and by 2023, it reduced to 4 out of 109 senators. For the House of Reps, going back to 1999, 13 out of 360. By 2003, beg your pardon, it rose up to 21 out of 360 seats, women holding 5.8%. By 2007, it rose again to 27 out of 360 seats, 7.5%. But by the time we got to 2011, it reduced to 25 out of 360 seats. By 2015, it reduced to 2022. It reduced to 22, beg your pardon. By 2019, it reduced to 13. And by 2023, it increased a little bit to 16 out of 360 seats. Like we mentioned, political gatekeeping, campaign funding gaps, unfair nomination processes, cultural and religious stereotypes, and electoral violence are part of the things that have affected women so far in politics, in governance today. Now, why does this matter, like we've been saying, and what could change? Well, we'll get to unlock the potential of 50% of Nigeria's population. That goes without saying, to be honest. We'll have a diverse female decision-making committee, right? So these are things that we actually need, right? Again, just to reiterate, the seats will be contested, not appointed. The legislative seats for women will provide actual political and decision-making power. It's a proposed constitutional amendment. Real equity is achieved by recognizing unequal conditions and acting deliberately to correct them. As opposed to saying, oh, you're just handing over seats to the women. Look, affirmative action measures seek to rebalance power, not redistribute pity. Again, the women these are like seats that are merited. You are not dashing or handing out seats to women just because. And there are no added privileges or advantages to these seats, okay? It's important, it's so important that this bill is passed for a bigger what's the word for it now? For us to have a better nation, basically, and for young girls to be able to see that, oh, if that woman could become the governor of so and so state, it means I have a higher chance of becoming president. Would we see a female president in Nigeria? Time will tell. As we conclude, the issue is not maybe, oh, women deserve a seat at the table, of which women do deserve a seat at the table. The real question is whether Nigeria can afford to leave them out of the table. Because democracy works best when every voice has a chance to be heard, and every citizen has a fair opportunity to lead, and leadership reflects the diversity of the people that it serves. I'm your host, Fumi Bangala, and this has been Political Arena. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let us keep the conversation going. Everywhere you go, please talk about the Special Seats Bill. Demand from your local government chairman, from your party representatives, why women are not in governance. Not to digress or belabor the point, in Ekiti, for instance, we see that the election, the governorship election is happening on Saturday, yet there's an absence of female candidates, which really reflects a broader national trend if we're going to keep it 100. Yes, there are deputy governorship candidates. However, we want to see women in actual positions of power. So that it doesn't seem like I'm belaboring the point. Yes, demand from your local government chairman, demand from your representatives that women, you want to see women included in governance in Nigeria. We hope to see that day come. But till next time, next week, where we'll have a guest coming in, please keep speaking about the Special Seats Bill. Keep speaking about why we need women in governance and why Nigeria really cannot survive. Nigeria's democracy cannot survive without women. All right, this is still Women Radio 91.7 FM. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Up next is the news at 12.
Comot hand, no dey touch woman anyhow, e no good.